Hey guys, Manitove here again, doing another after action review, this time of Guild Wars. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Guild Wars I did, and I'll explain my comps as I did in the Siege video. The first round I'll be facing a Sierra, Tiana, and a Fire Druid, and the second round looks like a Chiwu, Jean, Poseidon. For the first match I took in the Wind Paladin to entertain the Fire Druid. I took in the Rena to entertain both wind units. I know my Rena can eat a couple bombs and be okay, especially if the shield gets procced. And brought in Perna as my main source of DPS. Now as you see, my Rena took a bomb, no problem. I've never really encountered too many Fire Druids on defense before, so I only had a rough idea of what to expect. I know that they do dots, and I know that they defense break. So I figured I could overcome that with the Wind Paladin's skill 3, which provides a shield and a 2-turn immunity. And also that 2-turn immunity was going to help sustain my Rena in just tanking out the 2 wind units. I didn't have to worry about defense break or too many bombs landing, even if the Sierra goes proc crazy. Now, as you can see in that instance, the resistance actually played an effect. The one time out of 100 that it actually works. This time Sierra actually lands the bomb, pops it, and as you see, only almost 7,000 damage through the shield, and because it crits I get another shield immediately. This was basically just a stall out for my Perna to eliminate the Sierra, and then I'll work on the Fire Druid and take down the Tiana last. The other nice thing about the Wind Paladin is it does have a skill 2 cleanse and invincibility buff for 1 turn, a shield, so that's pretty nice. And the sustain that the Perna's passive brings in pretty much eliminates any sort of threat that I might have or they might have on their side. It's just playing through the actions at this point. I was never in any real danger of losing this match. I do have to say though that this comp was built relatively tanky and nice. It did take some time for my Perna to finally work that Sierra down, and I was surprised to see that the Druid was as squishy as it was. I expected it because I believe they're all defense-based tanks, so I expected my Perna to have a harder time taking down that particular unit. And the skill 1 stun on the Druid, apparently that's a whole class thing, which I did not know until fighting this Fire Druid. I don't have any Druids, so it was pretty much a learning experience for me. And if you see me get distracted, I'm R5ing on the side. Gotta get the grinds and the enchants. In one aspect, Tiana on defense, not very good, because as you saw a couple times during the fight after the Druid land debuffs, the Tiana will remove the debuffs, so it actually ends up helping take down the comp rather than helping the comp on defense. Now with this one, I just wanted to stop the Poseidon from moving first. I brought in Garo, Mercuni, and Leo. The new build for Poseidon is he scales with speed. So if I can limit his speed, he's not going to do much damage. I brought Garo in because barring the Poseidon being put on Violent runes, I expected the Chiwu to be on Swift and the Jean to be on Violent. So I wasn't in too much danger of losing the Garo, even if the rest of my comp somehow got wiped out. As you see, the recording actually stopped. I used ComTwist built-in version, so it didn't work out so well. So we'll go ahead and go back to that. Now for the second match, I am taking on a Sierra, Perna, Bastet in the first round, and a Rakan, Camila, and Wusa in the second round. I brought the Rena in to entertain the Sierra, but as you see, the Bastet derped turn 1 and threw up a defense break, and that caused Sierra to target a unit with defense break, which really makes no sense to me because bombs ignore defense anyways, so I don't know why that AI mechanic is actually built into the game. I brought the Perna once again for the sustain and just to kill their Perna, and their Perna ended up being relatively squishy, so I think it's on an attack crit damage attack build. And then once again the Wind Paladin's there to entertain the fire unit, and this was basically me just matching colors to my advantage because I know the AI is typically going to follow the elemental advantage rule, which means Sierra, other than defense break, will always target the water unit. The fire unit will always go after the wind unit, and the water unit will focus on the fire unit. And it was pretty much just matching colors and then play it out, and it's an easy victory. Once again, the Rena is on 100% resistance, and I even threw a little flavor on my Rena, and it's on the set of Revenge, and I did that in particular for the Siege, the 4-star towers, because the Orion Garo comps that are pretty prevalent. One time I was taken down in a match. I was in a G3 match, and I could not figure out my win condition after I got locked into a match because it was a Garo versus Rena. So putting Rena on Revenge, if Garo attacks, doesn't pop the shield, doesn't heal, Rena revenges, and then procs Garo's passive and still has enough attack bar to move first, you can still get the kill. So that was why I went that route. Not a lot of people I know actually put Revenge on the Rena, but I think it's a pretty niche build, but useful at the same time. I wouldn't recommend actually putting like Nemesis or anything like that on Rena because you want your Rena to move relatively slow, so that shield stays on for as long as possible, and also don't put it on bio so it procs out of its shield. As you see, it was a manage, just working down through the progressions, eliminate the threat, eliminate the second threat, and then take out the support. Now in this match, I brought in Covenant, Bastet, and my Fire Paladin. Fire Paladin I brought in essentially to entertain everyone, and I wanted to one-shot with Covenant, take out the Rakan, which worked out great. Camila and both Wusa are going to focus on my Fire Paladin for the rest of the match, and I'm just using my Bastet to turn cycle and attack buff, so I can get my Covenant's skill 3 up and eliminate the Camila. And once again, like I prefaced in my last video, is that Covenant skill 1 ignores shields and damage reduction effects. So even though Wusa's there putting up his shield, I don't have to worry about that. I'm still going to do some chip damage to make the eventual kill easier. Now the only thing that sort of threw me off during this match was I did get a couple of procs from the Camila that was able to take my Paladin down into a worrisome range, but just like Jean, skill 2 is a invincibility for 1 turn and a full cleanse, so I knew the sustain would be there for my Paladin to tank both of these units. And the nice thing is with Covenant and ignoring defense on his skill 3, even with Camilla's passive, with attack buff, mine does roughly about 49k, so even cut in half, it's still a substantial amount of damage to the Camilla, so it's only going to be a couple of chip shots and then an S3 and the Camilla's dead. Now for the next match, I'm taking on a Feng Yang, Wind Druid, and Harmonia in the first round, and the second round is a Sierra, Praha, and Rika. Now this one, I went full safe mode. I struggle a lot with the Wind Druid Most of them are built on a defense crit damage defense build on Vio, and I seem to get worked over on when I face them on defense a lot. So this time I brought in my aerial to tank both wind units, thinking that would be safe. I assumed at least one of them was going to be on destroy, which that was the case. And then I brought in Velojule for the immunity because I didn't want the defense break from the Wind Panda landing, or the stun from the skill 1 on the Wind Druid, because I did know he stunned on skill 1. And Rocky I brought in just to bypass all the shenanigans of the Wind Druid, because he has a res and a soul protect on his skill 3. He also increases the defense of all the defending units, excuse me. So we already know that Feng Yang is a defense-based unit, and getting a defense buff, he's going to hit really hard. That's why I wanted to make sure that that defense break that he has on skill 1 didn't play into it. Even though my immunity fell off, I was able to recover there. And what I'm going to do is my biggest threat, honestly my biggest threat during this is the Harmonia, because I don't want that unwanted harmony. Skill 3 taking my units down to a one-shot level. And then after that I'm going to go switch my target over to the Wind Druid and start working him down, because I don't want to deal with the counterattacks from the Wind Panda. Now I know when the Druids first came out, they were pretty much, they were terrible. And after they got their first and second reworks, this Wind Druid turned into being a very, very, very decent unit. And I see it all over the place now. So it's something I'm learning to have to challenge myself to overcome rather than just avoid. The nice thing about having a aerial is mine is built on a very tanky, I think it's speed, HP, defense build. And I do that for this particular reason. I just want it to eat as many attacks as it can and entertain, because it's not a DPS unit in the slightest, so it's just there as a distraction and a healer. At one point in time, I was running my Rocky on a speed, crit damage, HP build on Despair. And I still have it on Despair, but I do not like the tank hybrid version. It never really worked out for me. So I went with a speed, crit damage, attack build in the hopes of more damage output and shortening the length of the matches. And it seems to have worked out. This is my first time actually using that unit since I've done that changeover. And it worked out pretty well. Now for this match, Sierra is going to bomb my Molong. I brought Molong specifically to tank the Sierra because I knew it was going to bomb that unit because of elemental advantage. I brought the Harmonia in to counteract the bombs and provide a secondary immunity to my Wind Paladin, which has a 2-turn immunity when the HP of the unit is at full. What I'm trying to do right now is just set up and make sure my Molong is topped off, so once I get an opening to snipe a unit, that's what I'm going to do. This next turn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down the invincibility and then snipe at the Rika. Although I know it's not going to kill, I just want to take it down into a strike range where one of my support units can follow up and take it out. Now Sierra did exactly what I was hoping it would do, so for the next turn I can use Unwanted Harmony, heal my Molong back up, and do substantial damage, forcing the Praha into the heal. And at this point, that's what I'm establishing some control over the match, because I want that heal out of the way for when I go in to try to kill the Sierra. And there, the heal finally props. Now these are a little bit slower comps, and I tend to favor those when I'm doing Guild Wars, because the more yellow comps that I did use were not very successful. So I went with the grind method. I do more of the HP tanks. And after the zero goes down, it's pretty much just wait for Molong skill 3 to pop back up so I could kill the Praha, and that's pretty much how that whole Guild War went, 3-0. Right now we're sitting at the top end of G1, pushing G2. So if you saw any comps in here you liked, feel free to leave a comment below. If you saw anything I can improve, please once again comment below. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. You guys have a nice day.